What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Shiv Show. Now, they say third time's a charm, and I truly believe that. And today's guest has been on the Shiv Show previous two times, and both times we've had an absolute blast. I can summarize this guy in one word, and that word is unstoppable. And I think after the announcement that he's going to make today, it's going to show you that he is definitely unstoppable. So, Jamie, the Italian stallion, Totino, welcome back to the Shiv Show, my friend.
Thank you very much. I love the way you always introduce me like that. I always forget, but now I remember both times. The first time you did it like that, the second time you did it like that, and I was like, man. And you say it so well. I love it. I love it.
Third time's a charm.
How you doing?
All good, man. All good. And I feel like every time we meet, it's podcast worthy. Every time we chat, it's podcast worthy. I mean, you and I can call each other on a random Wednesday night
Totally
for an hour and a half and be like, damn it, why didn't we just record this?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So we got to do that.
So thanks for having me again, bro. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, today's all about you, and I want to talk about all the things that you're doing, but today is all about you, and today's all about greatness.
Thank you.
And I know that's one of your favorite words, and you're about to embark on an amazing journey. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Jamie Totino for whoever people that don't know you, and then tell us what you're about to embark on.
Yeah, definitely. So this is my third time on the Shiv Show, so that's definitely on my resume for sure moving forward. But yeah, I guess for me, like you said, Be Great, the book is as before we went live just earlier mentioned that I just ordered the first copies, which is really exciting. It's all sort of coming together and becoming a real thing now. I don't think it'll be real until I'm like holding it in my hand. I'm like, wow, this is real. Seeing the words on the paper, seeing the cover, and it all come, even just my name on there. Like, wow, this is actually real now. And then when people start buying it and you start shipping them out. So the book's been incredible during COVID, bringing that together. Obviously we had a bit of downtime, and it was things aren't as busy and crazy as what they normally are. So I sort of said, okay, cool. Well, I've got this content in my head that I've been wanting to write for some time, and I know we're on the Shiv Show, but again, I reached out to you the same way you helped me with my podcast, get it up and off the ground, and the same way with the book, you gave me some pointers, and some of those pointers were like, Jamie, just fucking get your head in the game and go make it happen. In a nutshell. So
and that's what it's all about, man. I think that's what we're trying to put out to the world. I mean,
100%.
It's not a favor that I'm doing. It's just literally things that I love doing, which is helping you and helping people, and you do the same for me.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. But you were exactly right with the whole thing, like just getting it, because it is a bit of a thing. Like, how do you write a book? What do you start with? Like, how do you even print a book? Like, how do you even do that? Do I have to get a publisher? Do I have to get a publisher? Like, how do I market? Is anyone even going to buy it? Is it even going to make sense? Well, you don't know if it's going to make sense. You haven't even written it yet. That was what was going through my head. Like, now looking back, I said, what were you thinking? Like, of course it doesn't make sense. There's nothing even on paper. So it wasn't until I actually committed to it and started writing, and then it all started sort of flowing out and coming onto the paper, that I was like, wow, like this is going to be good. And then all of a sudden it was like, wow, this is going to be like great. Like this is going to be incredible the way it's sort of all tied together.
Well, you mentioned one thing before, and you mentioned that it won't feel real until you get the book in your hand. And to be honest, man, until I held this, it didn't feel real to me. And I remember I got this shipment of books, and I was so excited, and I ran home from work, and I opened, I see this box sitting in front of my door, and I opened it up, and honestly, man, I literally started to tear up, and I was like, holy crap, like I did this. And I had so many people telling me that I couldn't do this, and so many people asking me like, why the hell are you writing a book? What are you an expert on? Blah, 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 blah. What do you really have to share? So one of the questions I have for you is, because I know you had that as well and that experience, where did that courage come from for you to break out of that nonsense?
From like the external people sort of, and then just
from the external beliefs. The external crap, and then of course your own your own fears internally.
I think it's a weird one. Like, I didn't really get a lot of people telling me I couldn't do it, but there was a lot of people sort of saying that, like, what sort of book are you going to write? What's your book about? Like, why are you writing a book? It wasn't so much like you can't write a book. It was more like, well, what are you going to write about? And what's your book going to be about? Like, why you? And at the start, yeah, that's probably part of the reason why, Shiv, it took some time to actually write, because there was a bit of that. And I'm not going to lie, like, it did, cross my mind, and it did stop me for a day, a week, a month, hold me back from actually writing. But then eventually I just said, you know what, like, ultimately, I actually saw this really good video online, and it said that there's no brand new content out there. Like, there's no brand new way. Like, if someone tells you that they're doing something a way that no one's ever done before, then they're talking shit. We've all just got our own version of it, in a way. Like, the way you would explain it, the way I explain it, technically it's the same sort of concept. It's just your version and your
different version.
Yeah, exactly right.
Very true.
So then I was like, well, this is my version. This is my viewing. This is my style. This is what's worked for me. This is what works for my clients. This is what works out there that I've seen from the people that I've studied on and modeled around greatness. I'm like, well, it's worked for them. Like, it must mean something. So why don't I just compile it all into one beautiful little file, one nice little book, and then give it out to everybody? And that's what I did. I think I would laugh. It was funny. I sent an email out to the database to say that the pre-sales available, and I got one email back from this guy, and he's like, I won't swear as much as the email swore, but it was like pretty much like, stop effing emailing me your effing shit. I don't want your effing spam. Your effing book sucks. I was like, there's only 3 people in the world that have read the book, bro. Like, how do you know the book sucks?
Yeah, he hasn't. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, all right, man, no worries. So yeah,
that's just the crap that you look at and you kind of shrug it off, and I think that comes with experience, right?
100%. Like, yeah, it's never going to go away. You just sort of get better at handling it. But yeah, how did I? So I just sort of zoned myself out, and I surrounded myself with people like yourself. I surrounded myself with people who I knew would pull me up if I was doing something wrong. Yeah. And would at the same time encourage me to keep going. Because ultimately that's what you want. Like, you want someone to tell you, look, man, like, you're not doing the right thing here. Like, good for trying, but you need to go this way. Like, this is probably the better way. Okay, cool. And then you need people to say, man, you're doing great. Keep it going. Love it. You're going to do great things. So that's what I try to stay around. Not the people telling me you're doing it wrong. Don't do it. You're not going to do anything. Stop. Just give up. Quit. Blah, blah, blah. All this shit. So I think that was really important.
You also need people to be straight up with you, right? Like, not tell you what you want to hear. And I had a lot of that. I had a lot of that when I was writing the book. You had me around, which I was certainly honest, and I'm sure many other people were honest as well. And I think when I was writing the book, I had friends or people I thought that were friends at that time.
Yeah.
And you lose contact with these sorts of people because you choose to do that. But I had people saying, you can't write a book. What are you going to write about? No one's going to read it.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. Like, what makes
same as a podcast, man. Let's back it up 2, 3, 4 years ago when I launched my podcast. It's like, who do you think you are having a podcast? It's like, who do you think you are? Outlook.
And now years later, we're still loving what we do. We're doing what we're loving what we're doing. We can reach. Oh, we can reach thousands of people from what we do, right? I mean, that's not bad at all.
Cool. I'm not a Joe Rogan right now. Yeah, cool. I'm not a Joe Rogan right now, but that's cool. Maybe one day I will be. Maybe one day I won't be. Like, who knows? But at least, like you said, who knows how many people have been listening to the podcast and say, "Wow, that was good. I got something from that." Like, again, you're just playing your part.
And that's what it's about. And I had a podcast interview the other day, and I was talking about a story. My first episode that I ever launched for my podcast, I was so nervous, and I'm like, I launched it. I went to bed, and I woke up, and I'm like, I'm going to have no messages. Like, people are going to hate it. What the hell? And I woke up to literally hundreds of messages from friends from Canada, family from Trinidad, family from the US. My teacher, my 7th or 8th grade teacher messaged me and said that, she had a fear of flying. And after listening to the podcast, it's completely changed the way that she looks at fear. And that message right there, man, was like, this is a success. I've changed one person, their understanding of fear. And so going back to the book, my rebuttal to all these people were, well, a doctor isn't born a doctor.
Correct.
J.K. Rowling wasn't born an author. Like, they learn how to do these things. Correct. So don't limit yourself by saying, don't limit. And already they're limiting themselves, right? I mean, that's the worst thing to do. So that was my simple rebuttal.
Well, even like you think about J.K. Rowling, like how many books were written that never got published or that were never any good, or how many pages were written that just got burnt up and thrown in the bin, or you know what I mean? Like, until there was the the series and the thousands and thousands of copies and the millions of copies and the millions of dollars to follow it. But it went through that. Who knows when, early days that there was no commitment, there was no confidence, there was no support. But now everyone's like, oh my God, the best author in history. But again, 20, 30 years ago, it's like, who do you think you are?
Well, it's funny. Like I think you posted this picture, would have been 2 weeks ago, with support on one side, and then I forgot what was on the other. But
like the applause, like the clap.
The congratulations. And it spoke out to me.
Yeah.
The congratulations is support versus congratulations, and support is empty, but congratulations is packed.
Full.
And we see that through our process, right? We see that a lot. But hey, I want to get back to the book, because I had the pleasure of reading. I think it was chapter 1. I'm not, that was at the beginning of your editing, so it probably changed just like mine did.
Totally.
But what I really admired about your writing style is your style was extremely authentic, and I think your style and my style is very similar. We write from the heart.
Agreed.
We write 100%. The way we speak. Did you have a certain style in mind before you started writing? Did you want this to come off as genuine? Did you want this to come off as you're the expert? I mean, where did this come from?
I think my style of writing, I didn't have a style. I was just like, I'm just going to write. Like, I didn't think about, but I knew what I wanted the outcome to be. Like, I knew what I wanted the reader to experience. But I didn't really overthink like what my strategy would be. If you hit the nail on the head, like, just authentic. It was me. You could almost. I've had 3 people read it that know me, and they've said that it sounds like you're speaking to me. Like, I can hear and see you saying that to me. So like then that to me was like a tick in the authentic box to say, well, cool. If 3 people that know me are saying that, people out there who don't know me will still feel some sort of energy coming through it. So I knew what I wanted.
That's a compliment too.
Exactly right.
That as a compliment.
And I definitely did. And it was, it was a little bit hard to accept that people, like, it worked. Not that it was hard to accept. It was more like, I didn't know how to, because I didn't know if it was going to work. Like, I didn't know if what I was doing was even like going to, like, if it made sense. Like, you don't know. Well, I didn't know that. Although they might have read it and be like, man, this is shit, or this doesn't even make sense. But for them to come back, it was sort of like wow, like maybe this is going to be like really incredible. Like, I knew what I wanted the reader to experience, but I didn't overthink my delivery of it. Like, my delivery of it, Shiv, was, you gave me that great tip of just, aim for 200 words a day. And there was some days, like, I got to 199, I wrote one more word and I pressed full stop and I got out because I just wasn't feeling it, and that's okay. And then there was days where I wrote like 6,000 words in one day, like, because I was feeling it. But I didn't really put a lot of pressure on myself with the writing. And again, like, what? I'm not going to lie. At the start, I was chasing the word count and I was chasing pages. Like, I want to get this word count. I want to get this. I want to get this. I was in a way doing it for the wrong reason. And then it was funny, like, I almost forgot about it. And because I had them all in separate files, every chapter, when I actually brought it all together into one, like, the second half of it I actually forgot. But when I brought it all together, like, it equaled that word count that I wanted. I was like, wow, like, just naturally it happened without me even. The first maybe couple chapters, I was chasing word count, going to aim for this, going to aim for this. That was the first draft. But then after I sort of got it out there and I just sort of forgot about it, I was just writing from the heart, letting it all out. And then, I sort of got to that word count. I was like, incredible. I was wrapped. But now I realize the word count doesn't mean shit. Like, it's all about the value that's in it. Like, you can get it out in 10 words or 10,000 words. It doesn't matter. As long as the reader's going to get the experience, that's all that matters.
And that's so the best tip that I was ever given, and I share with everyone, is literally write 2 to 250 words a day. And you're right. Eventually, you're going to get to 250, and you're going to say, "Wow, I have so much more to go.
Totally,
I have so much more to go." So I think it's super important to do that. And I think that you're right. It's quality versus quantity, totally. Right? And when I started writing my book, I think I told you I had like 100 and almost 200 pages, like 190 something pages.
Yeah.
And it got cut to 102 pages.
Wow.
And then I realized that I was actually repeating myself. But I did that because I kept writing. And I think the point is to keep writing. If you have a good editor, they're going to cut all the crap anyway, right?
Correct. That's
man, I was writing like I talk, like I'm just going
out.
Yeah. So how many editing versions did you have? Because this is something I probably had like 15 to 20. How many times did you actually re-edit?
My personal editing, every day I was adding in new things and taking things out. The editor revisions, I think we had 4. So it was funny though. Like, I would send him like my first draft, while he was revising that, I was still writing more. So the time he sent it back to me, I would add in another, hey, I just wrote all this. And he's like, why'd you send me the first copy then? You know, so, and then he'd send it back. So the first two, I was still adding. So I would send him what I had. And then while he was working on it, I would still keep writing. And I would still keep adding stuff in. And then eventually I just said, no more watching content, no more listening to reading. I actually just turned off all self-development stuff, like in my world.
Yeah.
Because the more I was listening to, the more I was reading, the more I was watching, it was almost
and you want to add in.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, like my understanding of that is this. Well, that's incredible. I need to put that in. You know, so then all of a sudden I just wasn't stopping. So I had to stop.
Right now, if I read my book, I'm telling you, I'll turn to like chapter 4 and read it, and I'm like, oh, why didn't I add this? Or why didn't I add that?
Totally.
These are things so it's also a good thing because we're constantly learning. We're constantly
100%.
learning. We're constantly checking ourselves. Saying, hey, you know what?
Version 2, the regular effect version 2 coming out.
That's it, man. That's it. Exactly. Hey, I got a question for you, and I know that some of your chapters are around modeling greatness, right? Yeah. So without giving it all away, how can someone model their greatness? I mean, what exactly does that mean?
Yeah. So the term, the action of modeling has been around for years. There's probably been different words used for it, but I guess it's commonly known as modeling. I guess it's ultimately where if you see someone doing something that you like, or you want to, if it's a skill, a trait, a belief, a value, whatever it might be, and you like that and you want to bring that into your life, then you model them, and you add it to your tool belt, so to say, of what you do and how you want to live your life and your lifestyle, or play sports, or run businesses, or be a leader, or be a husband or wife or partner. Whatever it is, in whatever version it is, and you can do it at any level, and you can go as deep or shallow as you want. So for me, like, it's funny. I remember when I was at my bodybuilding comp many years ago. After the comp had finished, and it's funny, like post comp, like if you know anyone who goes through that preparation and gets on stage, and after in that first 2, maybe 3 weeks, it's a good average of about 10 to 15 kilos that the person would put on. That's a lot of weight, like 10 kilos in 2-3 weeks.
A lot.
Yeah, because you drop so quickly, and then you pretty much just go straight back up. Because then you're not doing the cardio, you're not exercising as much as you were because you want to rest, but then you're still eating all the extra food. But for me, post my comp, I only put on like 3 kilos. And I've maintained that weight consistently since then. But I remember at the time I would always ask myself, because just after my comp finished, the Mr. Olympia was on. And I said to myself, what would Phil, at the time, Phil Heath was the reigning champion, and still, I think he won 8. And I said to myself, what would Phil Heath do now? What would Phil Heath be doing right now? So whatever he's doing, that's what I'm going to do.
Go back to training.
Yeah, exactly right. And I was like, go back to training, I do. And like, there was 2 days where I just ate whatever I wanted to, on it, like straight out. I was like, I ate everything and anything I could get my hands on. Felt sick, absolutely. But then I flicked it around and said, cool, well, what would Phil Heath do right now? And as I was watching everyone else put weight on, I can't control it. I don't know what's going on. I can't stop eating. I was like, yeah, you can. You fucking can. So it was those little things that I started to replicate. Look at someone like a Michael Jordan. Look at his game ethic. Look at it as, what about that is it? Like, what about is his beliefs around the sport, about himself, that you can take into your own life? Like, do you have to be at that level? Like, that's a bit of craziness. Like, I don't think anyone is ever going to reach that level. But imagine you can get halfway there. You'd have a pretty crazy self-belief and some self-confidence there,
Absolutely, man. And it's funny you bring Michael Jordan, because I wanted to ask you, because you're wearing the Bulls hat, and you got the poster behind you.
Absolutely.
You're Jordan out. I mean, how much of an influence has that guy had on you? Because for me, growing up, watching him play, and he's the epitome of greatness. He's literally the epitome of greatness. Absolutely.
And again, like more recently for him, especially coming into the business world, he was one of the first athletes to be on the rich list, in America. So billionaire rich list. So he's done some pretty incredible things. I remember growing up watching Space Jam, and that was obviously the movie that was the place you wanted to be. But again, it was just that. It was just that little bit more. Like, I guess ultimately, like, he honestly believed that he could do it, and he went and did it. So if you think about it from a real basic level, at first he probably believed that, I don't know if I'm worth it or not, I don't know if I can make it or not, but he went into the Bulls, knowing that he was going to become the best ever. Like, he didn't go in there just being, I'm just going to be another player. So I think if you can have that attitude, like, just again, real core basic, real easy, if you're going to go and do something, be the best at it that you do, like be the greatest at it, you're going to get far. Like you're going to do well.
Absolutely.
You're going to, you know what I mean? Like,
Isn't that I feel like that's the key to life, right? I mean, the key to life is no one's going to value yourself as much as you.
Totally.
No one's going to work
100%.
hard
Yep.
as much. And I think that you need to be able to put that effort in. You need to be able to execute.
100%.
You need to be able to get in there and be the best and be the greatest.
Again,
sure.
ultimately, and I said it, you know, 2 days ago when I was on a podcast. I said to the girl who was interviewing me, I was like, give me a valid reason, like a genuine valid reason why just being okay or just being good at something is fair.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give me a genuine valid reason why not chasing greatness in what you don't have to be the person, like the household name. You can be the greatest in your little suburb by doing whatever you do. Like, that's incredible. But why not? Like, give me a fair reason and a valid reason why just doing good at something, you know, is acceptable. There isn't. I'll ask you, like, can you think of one?
I literally can't. And what I tell people is do better than you did yesterday.
Yeah, like, exactly right.
But the goal of everything is to just do better. If you're at the gym, the goal is to eventually lift more weight. You know, look bigger, weight. Look stronger, or you know, lose weight. Right? I mean,
whatever it is, yeah.
But whatever it is, you're trying to step up and up and up and up. So why half-ass anything? I mean, there's
that's even better. Like, why
it doesn't bring you anything?
Spot on. It's someone might say it's easy to be good. Well, it's also easy to be great.
Yeah. Just try it. Just try a little bit harder.
Build those habits, and it becomes easy. You say it's hard now to get up every morning. Well, absolutely, but give it. You know, do it 10 days in a row. I'm telling you now, it'll be easier.
So you know, it's funny.
Know what I mean?
I spoke about this on the live last night, and you know, rebuttal was some people are, you know, night hawks, right? Like they are, or night owls. Sorry, they're up until 2-3 a.m. I can't do that, right?
Same.
I'd much rather get up at like 5:30 and start my day.
Yep.
But what are some of these habits that you have? I mean, what makes you great?
Good. I think for me, and there's an entire chapter on habits and rituals and routines and how to build them. I personally believe, like, you hear all those numbers out there, that it's 67 days or 66 days or 21 days to build a habit. I personally don't believe that. I reckon my belief is around it and how habits are created and formed. It is on the repetition. You know, like if we're at the gym and I'm like, hey, Shiv, this is how you do a bicep. It's not going to take you 67 days to get it. It'll take you probably 10 minutes of me showing you, no, not like that, like this. No, good. Yeah, that's the way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's probably like, it's the repetitions of you just keep doing it. Yes, they use days as a time to measure it. Like, I can't, you know, to build a habit of getting up at 5 a.m. every morning, you can only do that once a day. So yes, it's going to take some time. But same as driving manual. It doesn't take you 67 days to figure it out. It takes you an hour. Yeah. It takes you probably 100 goes at it, stalling it, understanding the clutch to throttle ratio. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't take days. Yeah. It just takes the time, however long it takes you to get it. So for me, I think because I've got that mindset and that belief towards it, I don't attach it like a number of days. Like, I don't tell myself, oh, I'm halfway there to building a habit. I just tell myself I've got the habit. Like, I'm doing it. Like, that's just what it is. Like, this is what I do. I'm not halfway there. You know what I mean?
It's a really good way to look at it, man. You're right. If you set a days, you're setting a time limit, right? You're setting a time limit to yourself, and if you don't hit that time limit, you're gonna call yourself a failure and go back to not doing that habit anymore.
Spot on.
So I agree, and the waking up early thing for me is there's no time limit on that either. Of course, for the first couple of days, first week or two, you're gonna feel lethargic, you're gonna feel tired, but eventually it's going to go away. I mean, that's usually what happens with any. And
would you agree that it's somewhat easier, if not easy, to get up at 5 a.m. now for you?
Yeah, I don't even need an alarm clock anymore.
Was it once hard?
The hardest
there
thing
you go.
ever.
So it's easy to be good at something or just be okay at something. Then it's also easy to be great at it.
Correct.
You know, so absolutely. So if someone tells me it's easy or it's hard, it's like, absolutely, you're right. But commit to it. That's the difference for me. I created. Sort of like this, there's this idea of there's 3 different types of people. There's the okays, the goods, and the greats. Yeah. The okays are always looking at the bad, and for them to move from an okay to good is to see the good in people, to see the good in the world, to see the good in what they can achieve. To move from a good to a great, I feel that the goods don't really commit to greatness. They're happy to sort of sit mediocre, sit doing well, making the average wage, doing an average lifestyle, doing the average thing. But it's that commitment to greatness that takes them to greatness. Mm-hmm. That's the journey from getting across. And it's
I
that
like that. Yeah.
commitment. It's that commitment to doing that little bit extra. It's a commitment to sticking to the 5 a.m. It's a commitment to eating healthy. It's a commitment to self-developing. It's a commitment to exercising. It's a commitment to loving and living a life of abundance. It's the commitment to everything that you do.
Yeah.
That will eventually see you become great.
Love that.
You know what I
That's
mean?
great, man. Have you seen it the other way around? Have you seen great to good?
Well, as if people go like back.
Yeah. And the bodybuilding example was a great one.
Yeah, well, I guess that's a mindset thing. It
Yeah.
becomes a mindset thing. It becomes maybe it's a complacency thing. But again, like if you've reached a level of greatness, well, in your own version of like, if you know, preparing for a bodybuilding comp and getting on stage at that body weight, like, 3% body fat, gone through a massive 20-week, 16-week diet, cut, prep to get to that stage, like that's mentally and physically draining. Like it's more it's more mentally draining than anything. You're exercising and you're pushing weights around and you're doing cardio 24/7, but mentally it's a challenge. So I think some people it's their rest time. For me, if I had to look at that scenario, I would say something like for the first week or two, have some time off, do your thing in moderation, but you have to draw a line eventually and say, okay, cool, well, now it's time to get back into it.
Yeah.
If it becomes like a 6-month break, different. Then there's
and you're right about the mindset piece actually, and you have such a strong mindset, and I admire that about you. Where did that come from? So question 1 is, where did that mindset come from? And question 2 is, if you can answer this after, your ideal reader. I want you to think about your ideal reader. Are they people that have an extremely strong mindset? Are they people that need a bit of help? Are they kind of in the middle or a mix of both? So first question to you, is where does that mindset come from?
Yeah. Look, I got into self-development when I was like 24, 25. Like I listened to my first audio book and I was like, what the hell? Where has this been? What do you mean there's people reading and I can listen to it? What do you mean, man? What do you mean there's inspirational, motivational stuff on YouTube? I didn't know that. So when I first got into that space, it was pretty late in there. Well, it's never late, but it was, I was 24, 25, and until I first understood motivational stuff. Like, the last book I read would have been in high school, which would have been some fiction story. So the self-development thing sort of started a bit later for me, but I always had this, even when I was in construction, I tell a story about it when I was doing in the book, when I was doing a training for work, and I was getting my dogman's ticket. And I would have been about, 22, 23. So for those that are listening, a dogman is the guy, so you see the big tower cranes in the city. So that the dogman is the guy who hooks up the load and who does the work on the ground, like puts chains on it, loads it up, straps it up, and then you speak to the crane driver via the radio, and he takes it up and moves it to the other space. So just for those listening, know what a dogman is. It's a bit of a weird word. But so I was doing that training with my brother, and it's a 5-day course, and on day 3, at the end of it, we're driving home, and he goes to me, why do you always have to be the best in the room? Like, why do you always have to be the best at what you do? And at the time I said, well, fuck, why wouldn't I want to be like, why would I want to be like every other, there's about 20 of us, there's 20 people in that group, in that training. I said, why would I want to be like every other loser in that room? Ultimately they're probably not going to go out there and do anything with what they're learning, but I want to go out there and take this and make this like something. And I had that mindset even as an employee in construction, and then even in footy, like I was always the first one out there. I remember every training session when we were playing VFL, I was always out there half an hour before everyone else, practicing my shots at goal, practicing kicking out, because I used to kick out after the behind. So I'd practice everything. Was I the best player in the world? No. Was I naturally talented? No. But you know what? I put in some serious hours prior to training, like always half an hour to an hour before, out there by myself. So yeah, that mindset, I don't know, like it's just, I don't want to say I was born with it, because I wasn't. I think it definitely comes from the upbringing from parents, encouraging to do more. Always remember my dad saying, always be the leader, don't be the sheep. Always be the leader, don't be the sheep. Even at the time when I was growing up, I didn't really understand what that means, but in my head I was just like, be the leader. So every time I would go out there and play footy or play sport or do work, I'm like, I'll be the leader. Don't really know what that means, but I'll just be the leader. So I'll just lead. And I think that just sort of built and just got stronger and stronger. And then, more recently, I've put a lot more time and attention towards my mindset. And I'm still human. I have we said it earlier about the book, I did definitely take in the naysayers a little bit, because like I said, I'm human and it happens. But I think that the journey is like, it never, like I said earlier, it never gets easier. You just get better at it. And I think,
Correct.
the hate's never going to go away. It's always going to be there. It's just going to be me getting better at handling it. The negative comments are always going to be there. The negative self-talk from my negative self-talk will always be there. It's just going to matter of like how quickly I can switch it around, like how quickly I can turn it off. Like it's never going to go away. Like anyone that says they don't speak negatively, I'm not in their head, but I can only assume like that's not true, because it has to be at least one word a day that you say that is negative in your head. So I think if you can flick that around quickly, and I think I've got that down pat, which is again why I really wanted to write the book, why I felt the book was the right time, because I felt like I was in a great space. Like I'm doing really good things. I'm getting great results on my clients. It's something I'm doing and then I'm sharing is working. So let me get that on paper. And then all of a sudden it was, okay, cool. This is great. Let's make it happen.
And I think the secret to that is, and I can tell what you're doing, and you have fear on one side, fear and the negatives, and then on the other side you have, what sort of value that you can give back to society, and that value is a lot bigger.
100%.
Fears. That value,
like you said about the
fears.
podcast, you had a teacher say, they removed that fear of flying just from that first episode. That outweighs the negative tenfold.
Absolutely. I looked at it as, this is what I want. I want to be able to share this with the world. I want to be able to see if I can change anyone else. Totally. But I mean, that's what we're after.
Well, that was my mindset for getting over public speaking. It was the fact that maybe I stumble my words, maybe I don't say the words exactly right, maybe I get it wrong sometimes, but there's always going to, and there'll be someone that calls me out on it. Maybe I'll spell something wrong on the flip chart. That's okay. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say. Yeah, totally. You know what I'm trying to say. And there's going to be someone in the room that is going to leave that event, whatever it looks like, or a Zoom call or whatever, being like, wow, I'm glad I learned that. Yeah. I'm glad I got that.
And you know what? I've made many mistakes up on stage, and you know what? We're human. We're human, man. We're human.
I think if you can
own it, it's going to happen to us. It's going to happen to anyone else.
If you try and hide it, that's when the problem is, and that's what people try and clear out. But if you own it, like, fuck, I got that one wrong. Shit, sorry guys. Let me fix that. Again, like we've all made, we've all made mistakes. We've all spelled something wrong. We've all done something. We've all said the wrong thing, whether it's on air, off air, talking to yourself, whatever. You just own it. Like it. You drop that ego and you move on. But
it's
that's
okay
the
to
mindset.
Make mistakes.
Like if you're not making mistakes, and it's like, well, what are you actually really doing? And if you're telling me that you're not making mistakes, then you're talking shit.
Correct.
So, and then the second question was the ideal reader. Part of the reason why I wrote the book, Shiv, was like I read I'm sure you've read it, Relentless by Tim Grover, right? And I read that and I'm like, I can read that and I get it. It makes sense. There's some books I read and I'm like, I don't get it. Or there's some content I watch, or some content I might consume, and I was like, I don't get it. Is it me and I'm not at the right stage potentially, or is that book too high level for me? Maybe. Like Think and Grow Rich, like I wouldn't suggest that for a first time reader. Like it's a lot to take in. Like you got to get it. You really got to read it. Definitely a great book to read, but like get into the habit of reading and go and read that. But I wanted to make this book really easily readable, if that makes sense. Like that, it's easy to consume. It's easy to digest. Like it makes sense. And it doesn't matter what level you're at, whether you're an expert reader and you've read 1 million books, or it's your first book you've ever read in your life, you're going to get something from it. And whatever level it applies to you at, it's going to help you go to that next level either way.
Yeah. Even
if you're at ground floor and you're looking to just get to level 1, or whether you're at level 100 and you're like, I want to get to level 101, either way, you're going to get something from it. So I've tried to stay, because I'm obviously a bit of a sports buff and I love sports, and I've done the whole sport. So I've tried to keep it sport orientated, but not only sport orientated. I've tried to bring a bit of business to it, a bit of personal life, external to just people who've done really great things out there, who maybe have never owned a business or have never been a sport athlete, but they've done great things. And I've also tried to steer away from, there's some household greatness names in there, but I've also challenged the people as well to think about, well, who's great in your world, who you model as greatness, who isn't a household name, who's a local person, the person that you see down the road. Is it the guy who makes coffee at the local coffee shop? Just because he's not a household name doesn't mean he's not achieving greatness. And then it's also the fact of understanding like the journey of greatness, understanding if you're on the journey of greatness.
Correct.
As well.
And I think that's a really good point. When I wrote this book, I did the exact same thing. I wanted people to understand or read this book and really step inside their own shoes for a second, as in like think about what they want to do and what they want to learn.
Yes.
And that's why I left
Yes.
the notes section at the back of every chapter, is because I want you to actually, this is a book that I want you to write in.
Yeah.
This is a
Yeah.
book that I want you to actually use and go back to.
Totally.
And the simplicity of it was really important to me too,
Yeah.
because you're right. There's books out there where I read and I'm like, what the heck is going on? I mean,
Yeah.
what they're really trying to say is, do some good things.
Yeah.
Why don't you
Exactly
just
right.
write do good things, right? I mean,
Spot on.
you don't have to get scientific about it. It's
Totally.
literally go do
Totally.
some good shit
Yeah.
in life.
Just be a great
That's
person.
it.
Ultimately
Be a
bring it
great
down to
person.
that, and again,
Correct.
like, that's not my style either to write at that level. Like, that's
Yep.
not me.
Yep.
I don't speak at that level. And, the listeners will be able to tell, I don't speak at a, super high, intelligent, but you still get what I'm trying to say. And I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
I didn't want
Exactly.
my book to be edited to a level, or me try and write something that's not me,
Yep.
so I wanted to really keep it me as much as possible, and
Yep.
cut through the bullshit and just cut straight through and be like, I get that. That makes sense. To some people that might read and be like,
Correct.
that's real basic. To some people that might read and be like, wow, this is the best thing I've heard forever.
Yep. Yep.
But there's going to be learnings either way, which is really important. And with I took some influence from you and your book, and I said, okay, cool. Like you said, there is some writing. I don't have a note page at the end of every chapter, but there are some exercises in there. And whether you want to write in the book, you can download the assets online. Like, either way, there's going to be exercises to help you achieve ultimately.
Yep. Good. And it's a way for them to reference that book
100%.
again, go back and
Yes.
use it again.
Yeah.
So I got a couple more questions for you. And
man.
one thing you actually talked about before was your surroundings and
Yes.
surrounding yourself with the right people. So
Yep.
how much of an influence does your surroundings have?
Oh, like, I think it's if not one of the most important. Like, I think your mindset and your self-belief and your focus would be, your personal internally is going to be number one, but then the next thing, very close second, like, photo finish second, is the people around you. Is the and in the book I call it the greatness squad. Who is in your greatness squad? Like, who is there to support you during the great times and through the shit times? And how many different squads do you need? Like, you might need one for personal life, you might need one for business world, you might need one for your career, you might need one for your finances, both in business and outside of business. You might need there's so many. What about your health? And like you said, like, okay, cool, I got a PT, but who's looking after from a physio and an osteo and a dietitian and a naturopath, and who's looking after what you're eating? Do you have to go that deep? No, but it depends at what level you want to play at. Like, for me, I want to. We both live pretty full on lives. Like, we're pretty busy all the time. We're going 24/7. I want to perform at my peak. So, and I know that food is fuel. So I get that. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I need to have the right people around me giving me tips and advice and strategies on how I can eat at certain times and eat certain things at the right time to better perform. I'm not going to go and do a dietitian course or a nutrition course because it's not really what I want to do, but I can hire someone or consult with someone to say, hey, Jamie, this is what you need to do. So I think the people around you is super, super, super important. And I think that, cutting people is equally as important. And sort of like you said, there was some friends that are no longer that you thought were friends, but but it's hard, man. Like, it is. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy to just cut people off and cut family off and cut whatever it is. If they're family, just limit exposure to them. That's what I do. I just limit my time with them. Like, they're still my family and I love them. And especially if they're external family, it's even easier. You can just limit. If it's like uncles and aunties and cousins, etc.
I agree, and I think you could do the same thing with friends. And we're not saying go out there and just say like screw you, see you later. I mean, you can limit it. I mean, you can go from hanging out with them once a week to hanging out with them once a month. I mean, if they're going to drain you, if they're a time waster, that's fine. That's cool.
And I'm okay. Like, you got to own it. Most importantly, like, own that. Like, and be okay with it, because they've chosen to go on that journey, and the same way you've chosen to go on your journey. So if it's okay for them to go that way, it's absolutely okay for you to go your way.
Correct. And I was just going to say, I also encourage you to have that transparent conversation with them, right? I mean, I have some friends that are super, super negative, and, I feel like I'm in a negative space whenever I hang with them. So I don't hang with them much anymore. Of course, I see them, and at the end of the day, they're great people and they're going through their own struggles. And I'm never going to say like, screw you, see you later.
Absolutely.
I'll be there for them, but I do limit my exposure. So that's really good advice.
Yeah. I think, limiting and then slowly eliminating. It's a good little analogy,
Yeah.
eliminating and eliminating. If you wanted to do that, but ultimately, yeah, like I said, sometimes you can't. I'm very grateful. I have to be honest, like especially like one of my three of my closest best mates. Like one of them, we went to kindergarten together, primary school together, high school together. He went on to university. I wasn't smart enough for that. But we played footy and cricket together. Like we grew up together. And then one of my other mates, like, we were best mates from year 7, like, which is the start of high school, and we're still still best mates now. So I'm really grateful, and they're like the most supportive friends that I could ever have. Like, yeah, they're more than friends to me. So I'm very grateful for that. Now, again, I don't know if it's luck, but because I don't really believe in luck, but I ultimately think that like having them as like non-family members, but I almost see them as family now. Having them close by, and then on the journey, bringing people in, and being okay to sort of think, oh, this person would be good, and then all of a sudden they're not, and then okay, cool, you're out. I'm very cutthroat like that. I just play footy where 1 week you're in, 1 week you're out. You get the call, hey man, you're not playing this week. It's like fuck. Or hey man, you get the call and you're in. So I sort of developed that skill of knowing how to be shut down pretty quickly. Thursday lunchtime, if you see the phone call coming from the general manager, it's like fuck. Is he going to tell me I'm in or am I out? So it's like, hey, what's going on? Cut to the chase. Yeah, you're in. Yes. No, you're out. Fuck. So I'm pretty cool like that. I can take it and I can give it. But I think that's super important to surround yourself with. And in the book, I actually give a decent list of people that you'd want to bring in, and then obviously open it to everyone's got their own, needs and wants, and make sure you've got the right people around you is important.
Man, I cannot wait to get this book. Honestly, I can't wait to get my hands on this book. Now, the final question I have for you, actually, I'll throw one more in there. But once this book comes out and you have, your first couple thousand readers, what is the one message that you want the Be Great book to really shine on?
Love it. That is a great question. So in way, what do I want them to take from it? Like if there was like one or two things that they could take from it.
Just one. I want one. Just one. And I know it's super hard because if you ask me that about my book, I don't know how to answer. But
this is good. I think ultimately, like I said, like we all know, like the book's called Be Great, right? If you think about like that in just those two words, like be great, it doesn't mean you have to achieve the greatest of greatest heights and make the most amount of dollars or get the highest paying job or be the highest role. I think if you can ultimately just be a great person, you're on the path of doing some great things. I think if you can just be that guy, like, or that girl, or whatever you are, that's just doing great things. I think if you can take your level to, maybe play that a little bit bigger. Yeah, cool. I was sitting over here doing my everyday thing, and then I read the book, and it's like, you know what? Maybe I can take a level up. That's a win. Yep. If you want to, and then from there you go and read another book, or you go and learn something else and take it to another level up. If I can pick up that stepping stone for someone, so to say, that they can take their life in whatever extreme, whatever scale, whatever version, whatever way works for them, I think that's going to be most important. Yeah, I hope that answers the question. There's a lot.
That's it's funny.
I try to tie 4 or 5 answers into one. So
no, that was good, and I think you're right. The title is Be Great, and the message is simple, right? Be great, and I love that. And again, I think that's a really good the level up piece, right? If you're doing something mediocre, like how do you step up just even a little bit?
Today, like you said earlier, how do I be better today than what I was yesterday? Like that, you're on the journey then. Like if that's your mindset, what can I do today to be better than yesterday? Then you're on the journey to greatness. Whatever level of greatness it is, whatever level that sounds like, whatever level it looks like, whatever financial value it is, doesn't matter. So as long as you're moving forward and not staying stagnant, then I think that's a win.
I love that, man. Final question for you, my friend, is...
Get me. This has been awesome. Thanks, man. This has been great.
Of course, man. With everything that you're doing and everything that you put out to the world, what do you want to be remembered as? Or how do you want to be remembered?
Yeah, well, good one. Nice one. Oh, you could have prepared me with this one.
No.
This is raw and real, man. This is raw and real. What do I want to be remembered as? Or what am I remembered for? I think ultimately, like, a little bit cliche-ish, but, like, whatever. Especially with what we're going through now in the world, there's definitely a lot of, whether it's negativity or I think the world needs more leaders. I think the world needs quality leaders who are just, I look at someone like a Robin Sharma, and I look up to him so much. I'm like, he's definitely one of my, greatest models, like someone that I'm modeling. And like the content he puts out there, like just the way he leads, and like he'll be remembered for that. And I think it's just a matter of not just the positivity, like yes, being positive and encouraging and motivating and help people move forward. But I think it's like, every time I was around Jamie, I felt good. Every time I listened to Jamie, I got something from it. Every time there was a great energy. Every time I was reading, hearing, seeing, feeling something around what Jamie was doing, like I got something from it. I left in a better space. I left a better person. Again, at what level that is, it's up to the individual and wherever they're at. But I think ultimately, as long as if I can leave a mark on someone in a positive way, and yeah, I think that's ultimately, and it's someone that chased his dreams and like, sorry for swearing, but didn't give a fuck. He just did his thing and got out there and made it happen. And I know I've sworn a lot, so I didn't even ask him allowed to swear, but bad luck, it's happened.
Fuck it.
There it is. There it is. But yeah, someone that just went out there, chased their dreams, took people on the journey with him, wasn't scared to, get it wrong and make mistakes and get back on the horse and throw himself in the deep end and say, hey, I'm going to write a book. And hey, I'm going to launch a podcast and yeah, but honestly, man, like I have to say a huge thank you to you, because I'm not just saying it because I'm on your podcast, and I'm not just saying it because we're in front of we're here together. Like genuinely, like honestly, Shiv, man, like it's daunting. Like at the start, I remember clearly how I felt like it's daunting. Like, how the fuck am I going to write a book? And then seeing you do it and saying, well, Shiv did it. Like, what's my problem? What's my problem? And that's nothing against you. That's just me saying, well, I look up to Shiv. Like if he can do it, why can't I do it? Like I can chase that too. And then your help all the way through, man. Like even till yesterday and like 2 nights ago, we won that screen sharing Zoom. You know what I mean? And then sometimes I'm a bit of a drainer. I ask irrelevant questions, but I honestly I love it, man. Like, and you're definitely part of my greatness squad. And I think it's important, like, against the listeners out there, is to keep those people close. Like, keep the people that are going to be there to genuinely support you and achieve and want to see you do well and want to push you. Like you said earlier, maybe it's not what you want to hear, but sometimes it's what you need to hear. And sometimes you need those people to be like, listen here, man, like pull your head in, go and get it done. Or love it, keep going, like you're doing great work, keep that up. Whatever that is, get those people around you as well. I have to say a massive thank you to you, man, for being that person to me. I hugely appreciate it. Hugely appreciate it.
Well, listen, man, I thank you for that. And the feeling's mutual, my friend. You are always there for me. Anytime I call, you answer. This is not just it's not just a one-way street. This is a two-way street. Absolutely. For sure. And I think that, the answer to your last question was great. What do you want to be remembered for? I think you're already doing that, man. That you're already doing that. And I can look at you and say, hey, you know what? Jamie's here to help. That's Absolutely. It. Jamie, 100%. Jamie's going to make my day better if I give him a call for 5 minutes. So you're already doing that, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I cannot wait to get my hands on this book. And, I cannot wait to share it with everyone.
Thank you.
It's going to be great.
You. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I still remember that phone call we had when I was at the airport, and it was really late at night. I was traveling, and we just had a chat for like 5 minutes before I was boarding my flight, and we were both like, we had that call. Like we were just both pumped after. It was like a 5-minute call. It's like,
we were both pumped up. Yeah,
it was a 5-minute call. Like I'm about to board a plane, and I'm like, hey man, I'm really got to get off the phone because they're going to kick me off the flight. but we just left that phone call like feeling incredible. So they're the people you want in your life, guys. They're the people you want in your life. Absolutely.
And I love what you say about the Greatness Squad. I mean, that's something that I'm going to be thinking about. You're definitely in mine. I want to be thinking about who's in there. So honestly, can't wait to get my hands on the book.
Appreciate it, man.
We will we'll go from there, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the Shiv Show again for the 3rd time, and I cannot wait for the 4th.
Absolutely. I love it, man. Thank you so much. Thank you all the guys out there listening. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for that, Shiv. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks, everyone. See you later.